All right. We about to get into it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Imperfect. And today I got a special guest with me today. This is one guy that I have idolized for a long time. He's literally led me into the position that I am doing now today. He was literally in the beginning start of it all, with the dance career into the filmmaking career. A really awesome dude. Today I got Travis Williams. How you doing, Travis?
Good.
Good, brother. Good. So we got a lot to talk about. I mean, you were in the Marine Corps. You got your own filmmaking business, and it's doing freaking amazing. Your quality of content is phenomenal. It's crazy. I feel like you're doing it all, brother. You're doing it all. So I guess we'll start from the top. Let's start from the beginning. What was it like to be in the Marine Corps? I've been waiting to ask you this question for weeks now. I saw a video Insider did about what Marines have to go through, and it is insanity, bro. I would cry the first day. What was it like?
It wasn't anything I expected. I didn't watch any YouTube videos or anything like that. It was back in 2000. I mean, YouTube was out, but it was 2008.
Yeah, I think that's right at the time Google bought it or something.
Yeah, YouTube was pretty new. So I didn't watch any Marine Corps boot camp videos or anything like that. So I just went in not
kind of
not knowing blindly. Yeah, I mean, just from stories other guys had told me and stuff.
Right. Well, I read the blog article that you did, and you talked about how you got into it, and I believe what do you call it? Your sergeant, the person above you that you were talking to, is it sergeant?
The recruiter.
The recruiter, right?
My recruiter at the time was a sergeant.
Right, and he asked you where you wanted to be.
Yeah. So anybody who signs up for the Marine Corps, you get to choose your job.
Right.
And as long as there's spots available and you're smart enough for that job,
they'll put you in it.
That you can be in that job. And so I was going to join the Marine Corps, or I was joining the Marine Corps, and I only imagined myself being infantry because I was going in to be a full-out Marine.
Really?
So I didn't imagine myself doing anything else, didn't want to do anything else.
That's crazy.
Turns out infantry was full.
Really? So you couldn't do it. So that's when he asked you, where do you want to go, right?
Yeah, what's your second choice? And I didn't know.
You were so focused on the first one, yeah.
Yeah, who thinks that infantry would ever be full?
Right.
But that's what I thought then, but now it makes more sense because the Marine Corps or the military, you got to have all these jobs or the military doesn't work.
Right.
Got to have corpsmen, got to have mechanics.
Oh, man.
Got to have admin people. So,
that makes sense.
They have to fill these quotas.
Right.
And so I had to pick something else. I didn't know what I wanted to do because I certainly am not mechanical.
All those other things.
I am not mechanical at all.
So did he ask you, or did you bring it up about when the subject of art came up? Was it him
Oh, it was me. I was like, I almost thought it was a dumb question because I was like, is there anything art
related in the Marines?
Artful?
Right.
And there is. You can be a journalist. And you can be a photographer. And so I was like, yeah, I want to be a photographer. I have experience in that and stuff. And so I signed up as a photographer.
So I know that you took photos for your high school, right? But have you done any kind of video work in high school or before you the photographer?
No.
So you're just straight photographer.
Work. No, I didn't want to be a videographer. I wanted
really?
to be a photographer.
That's insane.
So he wrote down the MOS number, MOS being military occupational specialty. So that means your job.
Right.
And he wrote down the field of combat, camera. And I didn't know that.
Right.
Until I got into, you go to boot camp and you go to combat training. And then after that, you go to your MOS training. And mine was in Fort Meade, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. And I wasn't picking up class, and I had no idea why.
Oh, man.
But I didn't really ask questions. I was like, well, this is how it goes. I'm not going to bother my mess sergeant well, am I not picking up class?
Right.
But months and months went by, and I would watch the Marines arrive and pick up class before me and graduate before I even picked up class. And I was finally like, I gotta figure out why this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty timid, and I wasn't, took a lot for me to ask.
Right.
But I asked, and it turns out that my recruiter had, like you said, just written in the number that was generically combat camera,
Right.
which is photographers, videographers, graphic designers. And so I didn't have it. That's why I wasn't picking up classes, because my number wasn't coming up.
Right.
And so he told me, well, you can wait, but there's nothing in the foreseeable future that there's a class opening. You can either wait forever
Right.
and or you can pick up this videography class. And I was kind of scared, actually, to be a videographer, because it just seemed a lot more complicated with audio, and the class was a lot longer. And
Right.
watching the other Marines study it, they seemed like they were a lot more busy than the photographers in those
Right.
classes. So, but it was so in your MOS training, you're treated better than a recruit in boot camp, but you still don't have very much freedom.
Really.
They still, you know,
on top.
you're
of
not your own person kind of thing.
man.
They're not yelling at you like they do, but they watch you, and you know, and
Right.
they don't trust you yet until you get
Right.
out and go to your first duty station. So, and I had been 9 months in this situation of like being bored, they just going on job details and stuff. And so I was ready to get out of there. So I didn't
Right.
care if I was going to be a videographer. I had to get out of there. So I said, yeah. But my first day in class, they showed this video. I wish I could find it, but they showed this video of the history of filmmaking and how it kind of came to be and stuff. And I just remember being so inspired by that video. And it was the right then that I knew that, man,
Video.
my recruiter made that mistake. It was meant to be for him to make that mistake.
Right.
And now is the greatest thing that ever happened to me, really,
That's
because
incredible.
if you're a videographer, you're really a photographer anyway. So
Very much so.
I'm-
But you wear a lot more hats when you're doing video compared to photo. Photo, yeah, it's like you got your camera, but now we got audio equipment. You got your mics, you got batteries. Well, I guess you have batteries in photography, but you have way more batteries. You have lighting equipment. You have to direct. You have to write. You have to script. You have to make sure everything else is all fixed up.
yeah,
you
there's
know?
there's a lot more moving parts in videography for sure. But the rules of composition and exposure and lighting
Yeah,
are
that's the
fundamental. So if you can, so if you're a videographer, it's easier to become a photographer than I think than if you
do it vice versa.
yeah, vice versa.
That's interesting.
So
That's
I mean, I couldn't be more blessed for that mistake to have happened,
Right.
because I really can't see myself doing anything else.
That's crazy. But that's
So-
cool though how you got into it. Like I feel the same way. It was like when we were shooting our those dance videos, and you were literally just like the first person to pop up on Google. You know, I didn't call anybody else. Just Google, hey, filmmakers near me. You know, and so I was like, yo, and so you picked up the phone, and I was like, you know, like let's do it. I was ready to go. Like I wanted to make more dance videos and more professional videos, and that led me down that path. But it was also like an accident. You know what I'm saying? Like I was trying to go so hard into the dance scene and just was trying to make professional films that I just fell in love. Like you noticed throughout the dance videos we would shoot, like the first one was just like 3 spots on campus and we're going to go film whatever, you know, and then connect them. And then it got more, okay, a little bit more scripting. And then I hired actors, and then we started dealing more with the lighting and the projector and all those more intricate things. And I was like, I think I like the more like technical work and being behind the camera. Like it's just like I feel like there's so much more opportunity for me to like work so hard on. And besides, I was starting to realize I wasn't a really good dancer, so starting to wake up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm sure you got a lot from it, or learned.
Oh
a lot
yeah,
from it.
I definitely learned a lot. There's just like a point where it's like you start dancing at 15 years old, and everybody around you has been dancing since 3, and they've been taking 6 classes every year for their entire lives. You know, and I only took hip hop, so it was just really hard starting from the top. But no, I'm happy that you got blessed to be with the videography. It's weird how those kind of mistakes can lead you into something that, you know, and I feel like the same way it was when we finished the Love Trump's Hate video. And when we sat down and watched that piece, like we did so much work. You did a lot of After Effects and all those kinds of things to really make that like really pop. But like the scripting, the acting, I think it was like came together really well. So I was like, man, this is like really awesome, you know. And it kind of opened my mind up. And the first time when I was like, why make dance videos? Like, we can make short films, we can make commercial. Like, there's like endless limits. You know, I feel like dance, I was like struggling already as it is, like just learning, and I still don't understand counts to this day. You know what I'm saying? And so like it was
Maybe
just
that
like
was your problem.
it was a huge problem. But I tried. I struggled a lot, but it definitely helped. But switching over, it's been awesome. But would you say though, like looking back, like being part of the Marine, how long were you in the Marines? First of all,
5 years active.
5 years.
So I
So
got out 2013.
so how long until you in it did you become a videographer? Like, were you a photographer like the first year or two?
In the Marine Corps?
Yeah.
No, I was straight up videographer, and that's what I did. And I mean, I took a few photos if they need you to take photos, or
You popped up and did that.
they tell
But
you.
like what video does the Marine need? Like what are you shooting? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was fortunate enough to get stationed in Beaufort, South Carolina, and my job mission was attached to the base. So whatever the base needed, it was an air station in Beaufort, South Carolina, and so it was kind of boring work there for the most part. It was ceremonies like retirements and change of commands. But
Gotcha.
every once in a while, they'd need a training video that we could kind of be creative on. And
Right. But you're learning the technical work is
yeah,
really
yeah.
what you're like you said, like you got a little bit of creative, but that technical work is what I think really played when you're like doing all those videos. And then when you got out and you got creative, you had the technical work behind you. So you're like, you don't have to deal with a lot of that, which is super helpful. But that's crazy.
I wouldn't say there's the technical side, there's not much to it, I don't think.
Technical?
Yeah. I mean, it's more knowing a process and knowing how to capture things.
Well, yeah. When I say technical, I'm assuming like like when you're framing stuff and things like that. Like I can't even think of the top
The
of my head.
composition.
Yeah, compositioning and like how like things flow, connecting things to music and things like that. But I think like getting detail and getting that kind of stuff, because I feel like I could say the same thing. Like it's because I'm working for my campus that I'm able to like learn all the intricate things. I don't like the lights, how to light subjects better, and all those things that like are gonna help my creative process. But it's like before I went into that, it was just like me running around thinking, oh, the lights go here and this goes here and the audio goes here, and no, it's like the all small things that you learn, you know, throughout the process.
I would say that creative process is really decision making, learning how to make decisions.
Mm.
And that's something I've really learned in the past couple of years is that, you know, going into a new situation and deciding, okay, thinking about your options, what's the purpose of the video, what's going to work best, and just being able to make a decision. I feel like amateurs and beginners, they don't do that. And I didn't do that when I was starting. You just show up and you go, okay, put the camera in the torus. So you just everything's eye level. But there's so many things you can do that will make it better. And you got to go around with what you have. So it's what you did yesterday with that actor or that subject or that interviewee probably won't work tomorrow with a different subject.
Very true.
And so you gotta. Sometimes it does.
Right.
But
if like it's especially a different time of day and there's a window in there, you know, it's like, oh man, that changes the whole scene. Lights got to be in different places. Camera's got to be at a different angle.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I mean, there's been shoots depending on the budget and stuff, but I've spent hours on a set before I even pushed record.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome to know. That's crazy.
Because you have to. It's trial and error. I mean, and the more experience I've gotten, the faster I can make these decisions, because I know how I can shape the light and bounce the light and the camera angle and the focal lengths to use. I've gotten better and knowing, so that time is shrunk down a little bit. But I mean, it's always going to be a significant amount of time to set up equipment and make a couple pose a couple options and decide from there. But it's really cool. I love it.
That's legit. That's awesome. Yeah, like it's just crazy, you know, like you walk along life and you feel like you know what you're gonna do. Like this is exactly what I'm gonna do. You know, what'd you call it? The infantry, right? The infantry, like you're gonna go in, you're gonna be in the infantry. I thought the same thing. You know, since I was 15 and first stepped on a dance stage, I was like, I'm gonna be a professional dancer, like no matter what. Like, and I did it. I went to dance school. I went to college for dance, and I tried, you know, as hard as you can, but like sometimes life is just like, yo, I think you're like legit better than this, and when you literally dip your toes and you're like, oh, actually, this is like pretty good. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd really like that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to use that to kind of segue into this new conversation that we've discussed a couple of times is college. Is college worth it, Travis? Talk to me. Am I wasting my life or what?
Yes, you are.
No, I'm just playing. But like, for real, like,
No, I'm not playing it.
no, I'm not. Yeah.
No, I think if you're going into become an engineer or doctor, absolutely. I'm
Obviously.
actually was talking to a friend of mine just the other day. He's struggled with going from job to job and being unhappy, and he's got his master's degree and he's not making very much money, you
Right.
know. And he asked me, he was like, "Could you just since you got a degree, you could just get a job at any ad agency, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I certainly could. I don't know if I'd be making probably be making less than I am now."
Right.
But I got to thinking about it. I was like, well, it's weird that to get a job at an ad agency, they do require a
A
degree.
degree. Most of them, yeah.
But the funny thing is to start your own ad agency, you certainly don't need a degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody you go up to and you say,
Mhm.
you show them a portfolio and you can sell yourself, they're not going to give a
Oh, exactly.
a
It's about clientele and your work, your portfolio. You
yeah,
bring that
they
up.
don't care as long as you can sell yourself and give them a return on investment. And
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Is it's like, yeah, like we'll take trade jobs out of it. You come in, you learn, you like to get a doctor, to be a doctor, you need degrees and you need licenses on top of that to be able to do those things. Like those are
yeah,
requirements. But there's nobody that's telling me, Gage, you need this license or this degree to get this job. You know, it's just me and I can connect to this person and then I get the job or, you know, vice versa or whatever.
yeah,
So my question is, it's like, yeah, like creative wise, like, is it worth it? And I hear this like all the way up and down the chain, and it's like I have friends that are thinking about going to college, but they're like, I don't know if I want to go to college with that financial pressure and the stress when I have a really good job now. And I really don't even know how to reply. You know, it's like I'm sitting here thinking, I think college, one thing I know for sure is college has made me more professional. I know how to email, and another question: is it worth it to learn this kind of minute information? But I know how to email professionally. You know, like, hey professor, comma, da 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 da, kindest regards, Gage. You know, like this is the simple stuff. You know, but I did learn that. I learned how to be professional, how to act professional, how to be on time. And in our business, that's a big thing. When a client wants a video due with that date, you know, college has those dates that you have to get your turned in like ASAP. And so I feel
I
like
think that comes with just maturity, though. I mean,
it could be maturity, but that's the thing. I don't know.
actually, I
You
wouldn't
know,
say college is completely waste of time or waste of money, but I would suggest to people that it's definitely okay if you don't get your degree.
right?
I mean,
Exactly.
I look back on my college and I'm grateful I went and stuff, but I certainly the job I have now, I did not get that because I had a degree,
Exactly. And explain what did you get your degree in?
communications,
With it
with emphasis in advertising.
in advertising, right?
But I look back on my college. This is why I would say it's not a complete waste of time and money because when I look back on my college career, the pinnacle of my experience was NSAC,
Right.
the National Student Advertising Competition. That was such a great experience, and I couldn't have gotten that anywhere else because
Yeah, it's only college campus.
there's no
And
advertising competition anywhere
very true, and that's only certain colleges even do it too. So I mean, we definitely looked out.
where you have a national. I mean, yeah, you can go out, and I can talk about this later, but I mean, you can go out. Nothing stops you from going out and making some business an ad.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
NSAC, you kind of have you'll have a national sponsor, which is
Mm-hmm.
the company you're making an advertisement for, and you're working with a bunch of other people
And
and stuff. But
yeah, I was gonna say INSAC. I think is absolutely incredible. I took the same exact thing as you. INSAC. I took it. I think you graduated like 4 years before me. Four, or well, I'm gonna be graduating.
2016.
Yeah. So a little bit before, but we were in the same program, and we took that same program too. I think we both had Rick as our guy, right? He was
Yeah.
yeah. So we even had the same guy. Like we had pretty similar experiences. The only thing with me it would be different is I'm getting my emphasis in video production as for advertising. Well, video production with emphasis in public relations. So
Mhm.
it's a little bit separate, but we literally are in the same program. So like when I'm asking this, it's like I'm asking the same exact question. I ask you the same exact question because it's like I literally in my heart feel like I could drop college right now, and I will. The only negative thing that will hit off, especially out the bat, is the family's reaction, and the grandparents and college. You need to finish college, like you need to go to college, like this, blah 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 blah. But you have to question yourself. If I did drop college right now, would I be more or less successful with or without it? Maybe with it'd be something like I actually have my degree. That I have this little paper to wave around or whatever. But at the same time, like I have a business where I'm my own owner. Like I'm my own boss. You know what I'm saying? And I've always went and did ventures like this where we started Imperfect, the podcast, greatest podcast in the world, where we do all these great things. Like I venture out and I found you. I paid you out of my own pocket to shoot these high quality professional dance films. I went out and did the vlogs. I paid money to go to New York to shoot the dance video. Like I did all this on my own money and my own time. Nobody like the dance program at our college is great. It's phenomenal. But it's like they're teaching you technique. They're teaching you like those little bit of things that you can learn. But the majority, 95% of what was pushing my career at the time is because I, out of college, was chasing my dreams and reaching out to like agencies, or I was reaching out to gigs that need dancers or shows, and I was putting on shows. Like I was doing all that stuff on my own. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Mhm.
I still question. So it's like now I have my own business. I'm starting, things like Imperfect along other projects, and I question, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying?
That's a good question.
It's
I mean,
a
I
lot
would,
of information.
I would never, I mean, I understand why you worry about what, your family thinks and stuff. You want to make them proud and stuff, but I mean, you got to think about you. I mean, you're thinking about all the money and the thousands of dollars you're spending, and are you getting anything out of it? You got to
Right.
ask yourself, well, am I going to get a return on this investment? And if you aren't, then you
Exactly.
just got to make the decision.
And
Just
I could simplify it for you. Like right now, I'm 6 months, 7 months away from graduating. It'd be almost dumb to just stop now. But at the same, or I could stop and make a statement. You know what I'm saying? It could be like that statement or to represent my brand or whatever. But let's say it was 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Let's say I'm at where I'm at in life, where I got my own business, I got a podcast, I'm doing these things to sustain myself, and I'm reaching out and I'm, finding the successes, and I still have 2 years of college. Like, what would you tell me?
I don't know. I don't know your situation. I mean, if I was going to college because I really thought that I was gonna finish college because, well, it was easier for me because I had the military and I was using the GI Bill. I was practically getting paid to go to college
Oh, really?
with the GI Bill. So
Well, that's
why would you not
exciting.
do it, right?
Yeah.
And I was doing it because I thought, well, I do want to work for an ad agency. I had a kind of a short-lived dream of working at Ogilvy in
Oh, heck
Chicago.
yeah.
That didn't
Mm-hmm.
work out, and that's fine. But so yeah, it certainly needed a degree to do that. So that's why I finished, and it was an easy decision for me because, like I said, I was had the GI Bill.
Right.
But if I didn't have the GI Bill,
And you were paying out of your own
and
pocket.
yeah, I was paying out of my own pocket, and I had these other things that were going well, I'd be like, no,
You
I'm
probably
not
would have
gonna.
stopped.
I would have dropped out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I know every situation is different. It's like, I'm just talking about me. It's like the same thing like if, your son or daughter or someone grows up and it's like they want to be something in a creative field. Like a musician, I feel like musician is a lot of technique and there's a lot of things you can learn like to do that, especially like when it comes to writing music and learning to read music and things like that. But it's like when it comes to like something like videography or dance, and they're like, if I don't have a kid, I know you have two, but if my child came to me and wanted, to do X, Y, Z, it's like, especially if I have the money at the time, would I be more willing to invest my own money in my daughter and be like, let me like rent you out a dance studio for 6 months or something like that, and let's see if you can, get some dancers in there, start training and build a dance studio, or would I be like, yeah, go to college for 4.5 years and get your dance degree and go from there. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah, if
like,
my kids wanted to go to college and they were just going into something like creatively or studying something where the pay's not good and you're going to work for somebody else, they're not going to pay you that well, and they're going to want to see that you have a degree. I'm not going to pay for their college.
right. Very
Waste
true.
that money. I'm like, and you can pay for your own college or get a scholarship.
Oh yeah, you got to give the kids.
But I'm surprised when they talk about wanting college to be free. I think that's a stupid idea.
Well, it might be, but don't you think it should be a little bit cheaper?
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I agree too. Like I don't think it should.
yeah. I mean, I
I don't know.
definitely agree that it's certainly overpriced, but making it free
Yeah.
doesn't solve that problem.
No, it doesn't. I feel like you should pay out of pocket. It's just.
It should be your investment, and shouldn't make other people pay for you to like
Exactly.
drink and
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, I know.
So
yeah, you're right. But it's like leaving college with 40 grand is a no-no. But going to college and leaving and not paying a dollar out of your own pocket is also a no-no. I feel like if we could just keep it around, like, of course, where you live and inflation and all that kind of stuff. But it's like here, like $4,000 a semester is a lot. I'm $8,000 every 9 months that I'm studying to do what I already do in the field. And don't get me wrong, there's so much to learn, and I never want to stop learning. That brings like another huge thing, especially for us videographers. I can honestly say I learned 98% of what I know about videography because of YouTube. YouTube has made it so incredibly easy to watch Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, Matty Apoya, like all those kind of people that are shooting film videos and just like watching their daily vlogs and seeing them in the film environment and watching them talk about lighting and all that stuff. Like a 10, 15, 20-minute video about lighting is a lot cheaper and a lot faster and quicker than, to go to college.
I mean, yeah, it's certainly watching, internet's certainly opened up a lot of things.
I think that's changed the field.
For education, but at the same time, there's also those people that just watch the YouTube videos and never do the doing.
Yeah.
So
but
I would
that's on
say
them, though,
I would say that 90% of what I've learned is from doing.
Well,
10% is from watching and learning. I didn't learn anything in college as far as videography goes.
Right.
Like the Marine Corps was really cool because they send you through this. I mean, that videography class was 3 or 4 months long. It was just a quick rundown of basic fundamentals, and then they threw you out the door. They threw you in the pool, and you had to learn how to swim.
Right.
Right. It was kind of like that. And so that was really cool. 'Cause, 3 months out of your life is not that big of a deal, and you learn what you need, and you put it to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wish that was what college was like in most fields, where it's they could just do this crash course, send you on your way, but they're not going to do that because they want to.
No, they want to extend it out, get more income.
They need you, to pay more and more.
It's like I sit there and I think full-time filmmaker, Peter Wahlbeck.
Mm-hmm.
He has that whole online school, incredible.
How much does that cost?
$400. $400.
Yeah.
And he is, first of all, you watch his YouTube content, you're like, okay, this guy is awesome. His quality is amazing. And then like a friend has like he bought the whole thing or whatever. So I got to like log in and kind of peek at stuff, and holy crap, dude. Like it was just like every camera like you can go in, and he talks so in depth, and it's just so crisp and clear. And another thing that I love is he built like this community where if you have a question, you're asking other people that are also learning filmmaking and their opinion. So it's like you're almost in college talking to classmates.
Yeah.
So it's, you're kind of losing, the in-person thing, and you would have, like you said, push yourself to get out and do it. But I mean, if you want to do something, like and you can do it for 90% cheaper, like you will do it. You'll stay home, you'll learn, you'll practice, and you'll get out in the field and do it,
And I think that's another problem with college is it kind of trains you. College trains you to, how do I want to say it? It kind of trains you in a sense. It trains you just that somebody will kind of do it for you.
Right. You kind of
You
witness
know,
someone do it.
this is a check in the box. You just do these kind of simple steps, then you're going to get a job and you're going to get a good salary.
Right.
When that's not the case, I feel sorry for all those students that are just kind of going through the motions and they're not doing anything extra.
Right.
You got to get out and,
That's
like,
mm-hmm.
if I was to give a speech in an advertising class, I'd be like, you guys got to go out. Nothing is stopping you from going out and making an ad,
right,
trying to sell somebody something. Because that's what it is. It's selling yourself.
Right, right.
Even, I mean, and they're not worried. They just got to go out. Because what I did was, when I started college out of the Marine Corps, I had my little film business called TC Rolling Films.
Right.
I was making little side jobs and stuff.
Exactly.
And I heard about, my family went to the Haunted Mansions of Albion.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there and I was just like fascinated with this place. I was like, I cannot believe there's an abandoned college campus out in the middle of nowhere that some entrepreneur turned into a haunted attraction.
Right.
And it was so inspiring, those buildings. I was like, I really want to make a horror film here. And so I called these people up, these owners, and was like, kind of sold them this idea of making kind of this movie trailer commercial for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, they were all for it. And I started making, and that actually turned into my job now.
Right.
Because the guy that owns the Haunted Mansions of Albion owns System Tech, and that's my parent company now.
Right.
And so, the students going to college now, they don't do anything like that. They don't go out and meet people and try to do things for them. And
like, you went out of your own way. Were you still in college at that point too?
Yeah, I was in college.
So literally, I think me and you have a lot of drive. Like, that definitely clicked off the bat, obviously, when we were making all those dance films and stuff. But the exact same thing is, I was in a dance place with 15 other dancers, and they did stuff like ish, like, and it was a lot related to, like, the professors being like, oh, there's this thing if you want to perform at, and then they would perform at it. But it was me going out of my own way, like, oh, America's Got Talent's coming to Salt Lake City, like, I'm gonna go try out, and I did. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, like, I'm going to make professional dance films to try to meet a wider audience, because dance here is not the biggest thing right now, unless you're like in LA or somewhere popping. So I was like, hey, I'm going to make dance films and try to widen the audience. So it's like, it's you going out and getting the work done. You know what I'm saying? I feel like,
I mean, I couldn't have learned, college wasn't going to teach me how to sum up the courage to go out and talk to somebody and try to collaborate, right? Or sell my talent.
Right, exactly.
So you learn so much from doing that. And so many students don't do it because they just like, well, I'm in college, I'm going to get a job, it's not going to matter.
Exactly.
And
I think that's a lot of mindset.
They are selling themselves short, and that's kind of why I think college kind of trains you to do that, because it takes not only so much of your time or money, it takes up a lot of your time, on just stuff that you're going to brain dump. And it's not going to matter.
Oh, yeah, the whole generals. I mean, 2 years of just like, like...
Or even I've heard things where even the things you learned for your field, you go out in the real world, and they're like, we don't do that.
Exactly. But that's the only thing that we talked about, INSAC. That was pretty spot on. Like, especially when you go around with ad agencies. And it's like, it's weird because the one thing college do is the physical experiences like that. INSAC, where you actually go into agencies, talking to people, like how they do, real people that run real agents and big agencies, if that. And then on top of that, it's like internships. Like, I got lucky enough to be an internship at my campus where I can like run like a lot of the video stuff from, our social or our social medias and stuff like that, which is an awesome like thing to be able to learn. But I don't know. It's awesome, and I'm thankful for it, and I've learned a lot for it. But I don't know if it's still like super worth it.
Yeah, you should probably do it again one more time. I did it twice, I almost didn't do it the second time. NSAC.
Oh yeah.
And the first client was the Pizza Hut.
Right.
Was Pizza Hut, and then the second one's Snapple.
Yeah, and the Snapple.
And ISU had never placed better than fourth in their districts in the whole history of the program.
Right.
And we won it that year on
That's
Snapple.
insanity.
And so, boy, was I glad I did it. And the commercials I made were a big part of the
that
reason.
winning. Oh, yeah.
And we didn't make it to nationals because we didn't put our videos or submit them with our plans book.
Right.
And so they couldn't. The rule was after districts, the judges for the nationals can't see your commercials unless you've submitted them at the same time. So it wasn't like, oh, well, this is what they look like. And so we didn't make it to nationals, and we thought that if they would have been able to see those commercials,
You probably could have.
because that was a big reason why we won districts.
Right.
Because they read the scripts and looked at the storyboard, but it was the best moment. One of the best moments of my life is presenting and the reaction that one of the commercials got. Totally, I didn't think it'd be that big.
Right.
The commercial was called Confessional.
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
And and I remember when Rick pulled everybody in because you have 15 minutes to kind of prep before the competition starts, like to figure out the space and things like that. Check your sound, right? And so he's telling us, okay, when we play our commercials, you guys have to laugh because laughing is contagious. So make sure you laugh so everybody else will kind of laugh.
Start laughing, yeah.
And I thought, I understood why he was saying that because it's strategic, right?
Right.
But I was like, man, I'm not going to do that. But it turns out when we played our commercial, certainly didn't have to fake anything because
they loved it.
Everybody burst out in laughter. And I think that was had a huge impact on the judges because people in that room were the target audience for the ad campaign.
Right.
And
that helps.
That was their reaction. They just hysterically bust out laughing.
That's insane. Like they actually all busted up laughing, and
I didn't think it was. I got lucky because I didn't write it to be that funny. You know? I thought it was a knee slapper, right? But I didn't think, man, it was just so cool.
That's cool.
Not very many times will that ever happen in your life where, because filmmaking's really, really hard.
Oh man, and that set that we were dealing with was
I
ridiculous.
mean, you can make a good video, but the chances of you making something that has a really big impact, and I guess I would say become a classic that people watch over and over, and yeah. I mean, it just isn't.
It's always
you'll make 100 videos, and if one turns out to be
like that
really special, then you've done really well.
Oh yeah, totally agree. And I think that's definitely what happened. Like that commercial just pulled together really well, and it sucks because I was still in the dance program at the time, and I didn't understand anything you were doing. Just a text like, "Hey, we need this guy to be on a bike," and I was like, "Sure."
You were in one of them.
I was in one of them. I was your actor.
Party.
Yeah, exactly, and it was awesome. And that was like one of those first things when you pull up. You had all the Snapple. This guy made a beat out of the Snapple, the cap, which was just sounded so amazing. Like everything was just so unique that like. Even though, like, of course, didn't even know film, especially at that time, but I just walked up and felt, like, super positive. Just seeing the environment, seeing how you put the Snapple bottles hung up, which was just, like, the small little nitpicky things. I was like, this is pretty dope. I really like this a lot,
That turned out really well. That was a good year.
That was a good year. That was a good time.
So you should certainly do. If you're going to stay in college, you've got to do that again. You might as well.
I know. I love my professor. Like the new professor, Rick's awesome too, but this new professor is just incredible. Like we click really well. She's my professor right now from one of my classes, but she is just an advertising god, man. She knows what she's doing, and she's super cool. She's young. She's super awesome, and it sucks because I already decided not to.
Well, you can change your mind.
I could, but the thing is I'm not part of the club, and they really want you to be a part of the club before you join the class and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, they want you to, but...
Right, but the biggest thing is it's like I'm already taking 18 credits for my last semester, so yeah, it's going to be a busy semester. And one of them's with this professor, and I specifically did that because she's so awesome. But if I would have known she was a professor, probably would have. Like, I feel like there's a lot of knowledge, you know. But either way, like, it's a great club. I definitely recommend it to anybody that's gonna, if they do go to college,
Mm-hmm.
they definitely take INSAC. It's all over the United States. So wherever you are, and if you're ever interested in filmmaking, marketing, public relations, copyright, photography, video, like so many things. If you're interested in any of that stuff, ask your college if they have INSAC. It's absolutely phenomenal.
In talking about creativity, another issue about college students is that the fact that they don't get out and they don't meet people, and they don't do things,
Right.
that really makes it hard to be creative.
Right.
If you haven't been places and done things and kind of have understanding of how people think and cultures and stuff.
Yeah, you got to jump into the
That's
business.
what mission gave me. That's what the Marine Corps gave me. I've been places, done things, and so when I came to college, it was like I had a step ahead because I was mature and I'd been places, right?
Right.
And made mistakes and had challenges and stuff. And that helps your creativity. That opens your mind. You got to have an open mind to be creative.
Yeah, very much so.
So also knowing success, having said that, been out and done things, I would say, ironically, sports has taught me a lot about filmmaking, especially golf.
How so?
Well, in regards to success and what is success and how to appreciate success. Because of INSAC, that was a big deal, but it turned out it wasn't that big of a deal. Right? At the end of the day, I thought it was just going to open my world, and it did. It was cool, but it didn't. After the win, nobody really cared.
Right.
Nobody cared, just like they wouldn't have cared if we lost.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right? So it's if you're going into things worried about what other people think or trying to impress people, it's just not worth it. It's a waste of energy.
Right.
So when I was younger, and I didn't learn this lesson really right away, but when I was 16, I was really into golf. And golf's hard. And it's like filmmaking. Like I said, you can make 100 videos, and if one turns out to be special, that's a good stat, actually. So in golf, if you could play 100 tournaments, and if you win one, that's a pretty good stat. Like the greatest golfer in the world wins at 30% of the time, 25 or 30% of the time, and people think he's from another planet, right?
Yeah.
So that's just, it's very hard to get a win.
Right.
So in that regard, filmmaking is a lot like golf. But when I was younger, about 15, 16, I won my first golf tournament.
Right.
And before that, it was a pretty big journey. I had, I'd seen these other people win, other junior golfers, and I'd seen them on, professional golfers win on TV, and the cameras are flashing, and they're giving a fist pump, and everybody's asking them, "Oh man, what were you thinking on the 16th hole?"
Right.
And wanting to know how they did it and stuff. And so when I was dreaming about my first win, I was imagining that.
Right.
People wanting to know, "Oh, how did you do that?" And flashes. I mean, it's kind of immature and ignorant to think that would be the kind of the case for a junior tournament, but
no,
but on a smaller scale, yeah. So my first tournament that I won was in Preston. I drove down there. It was late. I got on the first tee without a warm up, and I 3-putted the first hole.
Damn.
Which is not a good thing.
But still,
I bogeyed it. Next hole, 3-putted again, bogey. And then walking on the third hole, the other kids I knew from like school golf and stuff, this was during the summer, so it was just junior golf, but I heard them talking about me, and they were talking in a way that they wanted me to hear. And they were like, "Oh, he's never been a good putter.
Ugh.
He's playing the wrong clubs. He's not good."
Shitty.
Just kind of being little bullies, right?
Right.
And I was just like, And the year previous that, I'd played at Preston in the tournament and shot a ridiculously high score that was just really devastating.
Right.
And so now here I am again having this situation. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to all happen again.
Right.
And I was having all these negative thoughts, and I was just wanting to go back and walk back to the parking lot and just drive away, right?
Right.
And I just started imagining all the bad shots I was about to make and stuff, and then I decided, you know what? If I can just hit one good shot,
Right.
things will turn around. And I did. And then after that, I didn't make a mistake.
Oh man.
I didn't bogey another hole. In fact,
That's
I played the
wild.
next 15 holes 200.
It's
Yeah,
all
200 par.
mental. It's all mental. That's
And then
insane.
at the very final hole, I heard one of those kids that were talking about me earlier on the third hole. They were like, "That's the best round I've ever seen in my life."
Isn't that the coolest
So I
thing?
won, and it was really cool,
That's awesome.
right?
Man.
But then I woke up the next day, and it seemed kind of insignificant, right? What I imagined winning to be, it wasn't the case.
Right.
And so it kind of discouraged me a little bit in the sense that it wasn't what I expected, winning.
Right.
And so years went on, and I didn't really pay much attention to golf. I still played, and I wanted to win, but it wasn't as serious as
Right. You're
trying to
taking
get
it
that
before.
first win.
Oh yeah.
And so I look back now, and having tried filmmaking and failed and had a little success like an NSAC and making a
Right.
short film, I've looked back on that golf moment of winning and waking up the next day and finding out nobody cares, right?
Yeah.
Just like they forget about you if you lose, they really forget about you
if you win.
if you win. So you shouldn't worry about other people and what you'll being impressive to other people. It should be about the journey. And so I've really
Enjoy the
learned
process.
to embrace the journey. That's what's really
100%.
fun, is improving and struggling. And once you get the success or even the failure, start
going.
over and do the journey again, because that's what it's all about.
I do. Wise words, man. Wise words. I love
So-
it. I respect it. I think that's right on the ball, man. Is just enjoy the process. People say, I want to own a business. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire so bad. I want to be a millionaire so bad. It's like, why waste 10 years until, maybe you're a millionaire in 10 years, but you just wasted 10 years of your life. You know what I'm saying? And so I definitely agree with that, man. You just got to enjoy
You got to
journey.
live in the moment and be happy for where you are, because you look back on that moment, even if it seems like it's really crappy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll look back in that moment and you might say, "Oh, that's actually the happiest I've been."
I know. Well, think about it when you're like 15 and your mom won't let you go hang out with your friends and you just die in your room. Oh my gosh! Like all my friends are doing that big thing. They were gonna build a rocket and I want to be there. Blah 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 blah. And you're like, I miss rent for 3 months now. I miss those days.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, you gotta live in the moment and embrace it, and just
totally
that's
agree.
how you become happy.
I totally agree, man, 100%. But we were talking about, you own a business, TC Rolling Films, and that's when I hired you, and we started getting together and making videos. And I mean, we've been friends for a minute now. I mean, working together, good friends for 4 or 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
a long minute, which is kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to see each other kind of develop and stuff. So, but with that being said, though, being that owner and a business owner of TC Rolling Films and now working for somebody, what are the pros and cons of that? We discussed, I had, he's in this kind of spot where he's kind of thinking about working for a company because of the amount of the stress isn't worth it for him. And it is a lot of stress. Like when clients don't pay on time, or they don't pay in general, or you send a video product or a video thing and they don't get back for 3 weeks or months later, and then you finally do and you're like, all right, you ready to pay? They're like, oh, we'll pay you next month. And you're counting on that income, because especially when you run a business, that's your only income. But he's now thinking about it's just, instead of chasing clients and all that extra work, why not just work for a video production, company and just get a nice flat salary or hourly pay when you don't have to worry about all the taxes and you missed this, so now you have a $500 government fee and you have to get this and XYZ. What would you say about all that? You know, because what I'm saying is you owned your own business and now you work for somebody else. Like, what are your pros and cons?
Well, my situation is kind of different because I'm under the umbrella. If I got fired right now or got laid off, all the clients I've gathered are still my clients. System Tech is a cable
Okay.
networking company. They deal with all the communication systems in a building.
Gotcha.
Nothing to do with media,
Okay.
right? So I was hired on to do their marketing and their videos, as well as go out and
Find your own
find my
clients.
own clients to do weddings, commercials, promo
Okay.
videos, right? So like I said, if I were to get fired or I get laid off,
They're
those
still,
clients aren't going to go to System Tech
right. Yeah,
for
because they're
those.
dealing with you.
They deal with me.
So
System Tech just bills them, and right. So I do kind of have. I don't have the full stress of being on my own, but I do in a sense because
they're
I'm
still
responsible
for these
to
clients. Mm-hmm.
those clients, and I have to. I can't just not find any clients,
Right.
right? I
Exactly.
have
Because
to.
they're like, hey, you haven't brought any income in for 3 months, so
Right. Yeah. So
you're still out there grinding.
And I have some goals too. I gotta meet. I don't plan on just being stagnant and just being okay at
Oh yeah,
on the business side.
that's good.
So what I would say is probably, well, what's the question again?
I would just want to know your pros and cons for.
All pros and
But
cons.
like you said, I mean, it does make sense that you are a little bit different. You are going out there, but I mean, let's say let me put it like this: if I'm running a business and I'm barely pulling 20K a year, which is not a lot of money when you have $15,000 of equipment, especially in the first year, and you have credit cards loading up, all that stuff. But I get a job offer. Hey, we're gonna pay you 40K salary to work a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job for maybe a college or somewhere else. Like,
I would say that it depends on how bad you want it, right?
right?
And I don't think I would say it's quitting for him to take a job
Oh yeah.
but to get on his feet, to learn something, that will help him in the future to go out on his own and to be a little bit. The stress is always going to be there, but
Right.
it's easier if you know what you're doing and
Mhm.
you know the process and you know the business side, that you're going to be more successful, right? So if it takes going to another job and kind of figuring it out while taking care of you and your family, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And if you decide, well, I'm fine with this actually, and there's whatever makes you happy, you should do it. But if you really do want your own company and do your own videos, then you can still figure it out. You can still put in those extra hours after work and hone your craft, right?
Right. Hone your craft, exactly.
And that craft is the business side too, because that's a craft in and of itself,
Right.
which is it's very important because if you don't
Mhm.
have that down, then it's just going to be a hobby, right?
Exactly.
So, but there's things you can figure out. This is one thing I'm learning slowly, slower than I should, but you got to collaborate. You
Right.
can't do it all by yourself.
Right.
Filmmaking is a team sport.
It is a team sport.
Um,
But when you're out here and you're running the video production, I mean, I think you had an assistant at one point, or maybe still do, but I'm sure for the majority of the times you're pulling up with your own camera, with your own audio gear, with your own lighting, all that kind of stuff, right?
yeah, I had Levi Gunderson. He was great. Now he's moved to Boise and stuff, but
So what I'm saying though is like you have all of those hats to when you pull up to shoot something, you have so many hats where it's like so much to stress
well,
about.
that's why it's been nice to be hired on by an ad agency
Mm-hmm.
to be their freelancer, their subcontractor,
Right.
because they take care of the writing, the client. I show up and we talk about the concept and
You do the work and you bounce.
and then I shoot it, I edit it, I send it out.
So going back to the question though, maybe a little bit more personally to you, why continue to work for a company when you can start your own business?
Well, I feel like I'm not ready. I feel like I need to improve my managerial skills. That's one thing
Okay.
I really have to improve on, because when I did have those assistants, I've had two guys under me before, and I feel like
It helps.
it does help, but it's you're the coach,
Yeah.
and if you can't lead and can't
Hmm.
figure things out, then it turns into there's a lot of wasted time and
Right.
stuff. So that's one thing. And Levi, I was figuring it out. I had improved before with him prior to the first guy that was helping me out. Man, there was a lot of mistakes made there.
That
Yeah, he
happens.
wasn't. He had the wrong mindset, completely wrong mindset. What helped with Levi though is he had the right mindset.
That's
I mean, he
good.
was a team player and he was a go getter too,
That's
and he
good.
loved it. He loved filmmaking. Well, he
Right.
loves it still.
Still doing
He's
it.
still with us.
He's
You know,
still with us.
he's
Rest in
not gone.
peace.
But yeah, he loves the field. But in the first guy, he had the wrong mindset and he didn't really care. It seemed
Right.
like he just wanted a paycheck.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I wish one of the mistakes my boss had us lay him off. And looking back at it now, I wish I would have just pulled the plug,
Right.
because it made me look bad.
Right.
Actually, you know,
That
like
sucks.
one instance, and I'll describe the mindset was, um, he flat out told me, "I'm done at 5." Right? If there's a shoe after 5, I'm not doing it. Right? He didn't say it like that,
But obviously, like, hey,
but
I'm
pretty
done.
much he said
Yeah.
it like that,
Right.
and I was just like, what? I mean, most video production companies, yeah, it's 8 to 5, and they schedule their shoots during then. But I mean,
Sometimes, oh,
but
there's,
I'm not one of those video productions. I do a wedding, or I do a commercial, or I'm shooting a short film, and
yeah.
sometimes you got to
But
do
even
that.
even at the highest of branch, you would feel like something can go awry. Like, what if your actress, the main actress, is an hour late? I mean, you're not gonna be like, everybody pack up, we gotta go. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
you gotta shoot it. You
yeah, you
know.
got to shoot it. It's not like you're working at a job where there's a conveyor belt, and
Hmm.
it's not like that, right? And so he had that mindset, and there was plenty of red flags that I wish I would have known at the time. But I look back and I was like, man, I should have just pulled the plug on him, let him
Right.
find somebody
But it was
else.
your first time. You learn and grow. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So with Levi, I didn't have to like be challenged with that same lesson. He was a go getter. He loved the
Awesome.
profession.
And
He
I
was
could see that.
completely willing. If there was a shoot at midnight, I mean, he'd be there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know this guy, the guy he's referencing to, because Insect that we were talking about earlier, I took with him, and I've just known him around, and he's definitely a very solid go-getter guy,
Yeah.
respectful guy, and I definitely know that. Like, if he says he's there, he'll be there.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he goes all out. Like, he was literally the day before the presentation, staying up till 3, 4 a.m. reading his lines, and I was like, this kid's got like work. Like, he wants to go out and give the best presentation he can give. You know?
Yeah, and that's the people you want to help you
Mm.
and stuff. So, I mean, the reason why, yeah, I don't just say see a system tech.
And he's a good dude.
So I would never. I'm loyal to them. I would never just say
Mm.
see ya,
Right?
but it
No,
would maybe separate a little bit more into a partnership as rather than just an employee.
an
So I would want
umbrella.
to
Yeah.
give back to them for what
Right.
they've given me. So
And
my
that's
goal is
awesome.
to really increase my revenue and make it's okay now, but I really do want to make it successful
And
and be
keep
able to
going.
give back like we'll give back to them,
Hmm.
but also give back to others that may need help like I needed it.
Right. For the
So
opportunity he's giving you. No, that's
yeah,
totally makes sense.
so I'll never forget um, the good deeds given to me for sure.
Hmm. Respect. Well, Mr. Travis, almost at the end. I don't know how long we're gonna wrap on this one. I got a question for you.
What
A very
what's
important.
that?
A very. I want you to roast me, Travis Williams. I
Roast you?
want you to tell me. You've seen some of my content, maybe not a lot, but you're an amazing filmmaker, and I look up to you. And so I want to hear what you think I could do better in my films. Like, any video come to mind that you've seen? I know you have, and you're like, this is shit, bro. Just end your career.
No.
I'm about to end this whole man's career. No, yeah. But for real,
Okay, are you sure
I am.
you
Roast
want
me.
you want it?
Yes, I want to hear lighting, scripting, camera work, shakiness, whatever. What you got?
Well, some of the things I've already kind of told you is in the mistakes you're making, I made.
Oh yeah.
And there's mistakes I'm still making.
Oh yeah.
So there's no shame in it, right?
Oh yeah. There's
So,
no shame, but still.
but
Like,
it's kind of hard as an artist. It's hard to receive, and it's been hard for me to receive constructive criticism.
no,
'Cause,
that's what I'm saying. Like I literally, like I know. I was a dancer. Like I know how people. You can improve this and improve this technique, and your leg should have been here, and blah 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 blah. But like I know you've seen some of my content, so I'm just asking you constructive criticism, roasting, whatever you want to call it. Like what comes to mind that I could better my filmmaking or set my filmmaking up?
well, mainly I would say that what needs the most work is editing.
Editing.
I mean, I feel like you have a pretty good eye, and that eye will only get better. But I would say the fastest way for you to improve right now is to think about your editing more,
Right.
because there's shots that go into final products that could have easily been pulled
Mm-hmm.
and or trimmed down. And this is something I learned in the Marine Corps. There was a gunnery sergeant in our shop, our combat camera shop, and he was not like any other Marine. Like for a higher ranking enlisted member,
Right.
he was really quiet. Like you almost didn't know if you could never tell if he was mad or not because he was just always quiet.
Jeez.
But anyway, he was really smart. His name was Gunny Stockhausen, and I would edit things, and he would have to approve them.
Right.
And so he'd watch it, just kind of have this blank look, and we'd finish watching. I'm like, "Well, what do you think of that, Gunny?"
Right.
And he would just say, "Why did you pick that shot? Why is that shot right there?" And I couldn't answer him. I don't know. I just put it there, Gunny. And he really helped me understand that you have to think about what you're doing in filmmaking.
Right.
You got to ask yourself. It's like I go back to that decision making for the creativity. You got to have a purpose for every shot. If the shot doesn't have a purpose in the
Why is it
end
there?
thing, why is it there? Pull it.
Right.
You know?
And I swear you've told me that exact statement too. Is what was that shot for? I swear you told me that exact thing, and now it's good to know where the story comes from.
And it's an eye for you have an eye for when you're shooting, and you have an eye for when you're editing. And the more you do it, you just learn it. It's just kind of
right.
It's weird how it kind of this learning kind of happens subconsciously.
Oh, it does. You're totally right. But no, I definitely.
But if you don't have anybody being honest with you and saying, you it's harder to learn.
Exactly. And it's weird that and it's hard to self-critique yourself because you don't know yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's it's really hard. It's only when a client or you see how well it's doing on Facebook or whatever that you kind of learn in those little intricate ways. But I've always known that I will make something and I'm like, this is okay, let's shoot this, let's edit this, let's get it done. And every time I'm like, it's not what I want. Like I know it's not looking good, but I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so I mean, me and you definitely could sit down and get all intricate with it, but I feel like editing is a huge one. But how would you say, how could I improve my editing? Would you just say keep editing and move on, or is there?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get better by default.
Right.
The more you do it, the better you'll get. But the thing you want is you want to get better as fast as you can.
Exactly, and that's why I'm asking.
So
you.
Yeah, exactly. But I would say. Well,
should I have you or somebody? This is something I don't do either. Look at it as a draft, or when it's finished. But hey, before this goes public,
that's another conversation when you send drafts and stuff, and that's something I haven't
But that
quite
would
figured
be
out. But yes, you want to.
have separate eyes on the thing.
You
know?
definitely, yeah. You want other eyes to look at your stuff and give you. Even in Hollywood, the director will make a film, premiere it. He'll watch the audience, and if they don't laugh at certain places, or if they don't cry at certain places, or he notices them kind of looking around or looking at their watch, he'll say, "Oh crap! That
I
scene is
lost him
too
there.
long,
Yeah.
or that beat didn't work right there."
Yeah, that
Right?
makes
So
a lot
there,
of sense.
you're always. Nobody is perfect at it. It's not a perfect game,
Right.
and so they do that. If they're doing that, we certainly need to be doing
Right.
that because we're not as good as them.
You would say they're imperfect, right?
They're imperfect.
Yeah. Shameless plug this shit every time I get a chance. But
Yeah,
yeah.
they're imperfect,
Well,
and
that's
we're imperfect. So yeah, definitely that will help you. But
and that's my thing is it's like I wanted to say, especially on like the first couple episodes, it's not imperfect and that you're okay with it. Like, oh, we're all imperfect. The idea of imperfection is understanding that you will never be perfect, but the strive for perfection is very, very real. You need to try to be the best you can be. And what I love about you is you are willing. I mean, me, you, Jason, and some other people that you kind of see around town are all filmmakers in the same field. But it's so awesome to me that, I could literally have this podcast and have both of you come on, sit down and talk filmmaking, and we can be this collaborative and talking and, like, oh, listen, I got work that I need you to help with, or I know there's especially when a couple of mistakes I made in the future, when I have big projects, I'm going to be like, yo, I need your help ahead of the game and things like that. So it's like, I love that. You know what I'm saying?
well, yeah, and you can certainly send me anything, and I'll look at it and
Rip it apart.
give you some my thoughts. And
Yeah.
my thoughts aren't always correct either, but as far as
it's thinking, it's just you're like, I'm wanting your way of thinking, your constructive criticism to see what you're thinking about a project.
Something I can kind of tell you is this past year we made a really good. You can learn something from this, is why I'm telling it. We made a mini. I would call it a mini documentary about Greg Middlecoff in Twin Falls. He got chosen from an application to be able to buy a Ford GT.
Yep, I saw that.
You saw that video?
That video's amazing, dude. I can't even explain how quality stuff your content is. I'll be scrolling on my timeline, trash video, trash ad, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh my, of course, it's Travis Williams, the guy that lives 10 minutes from me, making this amazing content. Like the lighting, the shots, the reflection off the car was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it turned out to be really great. And
by the way, Rumorfy Media, Facebook, Instagram. You got Instagram?
Yeah, but I don't really update it. So.
No Instagram. Facebook, check out Rumorfy Media.
We're gonna get more going on the Instagram, but
good. But you made this doc.
So it was really special in the fact that you're not gonna I'm never gonna see another person get a Ford GT.
Right.
Right. And Levi helped me out on it. He came out and filmed. We had 2 cameras going, and he did an excellent job. And I gave him the task of editing it. And his first draft he gave me wasn't good. Right. But it was around the time, Martin Scorsese. I haven't seen the masterclass of his, but in the trailer he says your first edit should make you throw up. Yeah. And that's true.
That is.
You should not.
That's ever, a good statement right there.
Ever just settle with your first draft, right? Yeah. It always needs to be revised and tweaked, and that's the kind of the trial and error thing. But Levi's first draft, I don't know how he felt about it, but it was enough to make you throw up, make you want to throw up. Well, no, it wasn't that bad, but
maybe he sent it to you. Yeah.
I would describe it as it was just flat.
Right.
And the reason why it was flat is because he wasn't making any decisions.
Right.
He wasn't thinking about what happened.
Right.
Okay, this guy, he's dreamed about cars his whole life. He's a Ford dealer. He loves Ford. He fills out this application that's not likely to happen. Only 1,000 people in the world get it. Right. From celebrities to to whoever, right? And
Right.
and then it comes. They deliver it to him on a semi, and the semi's enclosed, and the car's in there. And I said to Levi, I was like, okay, what is this about? And you can start in certain spots. Like, what would be the climax of this? What's the climax of this event?
Right.
It's the unveiling of his Ford GT.
Right.
And so on the second revision, everything kind of built up. There was a little introduction, and then everything kind of builds up to this moment of the semi truck opening up.
Right.
And there's the car.
Right.
And we had the shots to be able to make that edit possible. And that's what made it from
The first
blah
draft. Yeah.
to like, it's
Fantastic.
great. And so I gave him that critique. I maybe helped him edit that kind of climax that we decided. And then he went off and even made that better.
That's awesome.
So it's the process is just you gotta think about what you're doing, think about the situation and what the story is.
What
You
it
got to
means.
take a step back and say, what's special about this event, or what's special
This
about this
video.
story.
Right.
And I promised you that there's something special about everything, even though you think it might be dull
You can
or
make
boring. There's
Mm.
something you can
it
do that makes it special. You know, not
I'm
everything's going to be a Shawshank Redemption or
Right.
something, but you
in.
can make it. You can always improve it.
All right, and that's definitely, I feel like, something. I'm always a first drafter, and I think that would help a lot. It's just like, okay, first draft, rewatch it a couple times, re-edit it, and then maybe get clients' opinions and stuff. But I'm gonna take that in. I'm gonna work on it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you'll be able to. I mean, just you got to look at all your footage too. I mean, it's very time consuming.
Yeah.
And it's scary. Editing is a lot like writing,
Mm-hmm.
where you have this kind of writer's block. Well, there's an editor's
Oh
block.
yeah, it's like the very first time you throw 2.5 hours of a wedding video into the timeline, and you're like,
There's times where I shoot something, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go and edit this.
oh,
And then I sit down and edit, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do with it.
yeah,
But you just start plugging away, and you kind of figure it out as you go. But you're, like I said before, you got to be thinking about what makes us special, and start somewhere, whether it's in an introduction. Sometimes you get inspired by hearing a piece of music that
Right.
would work, but you got to start somewhere
And
and then build on it. And you got to not be afraid to revise it and flip it upside down and side words
deal.
because it's hidden in the footage.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take all that you said. I'm gonna practice, and then maybe my next film I'll send over to you and get your thoughts.
Yeah, and likewise, I could send it to you, my stuff
Please.
to you.
I'm a lot more of a consumer that I can give you feedback on than filmmaker. But hopefully, man. I mean, I know you do amazing work. Everything you've done, Rumorfy Media, has literally just been amazing. Seeing the content you make, the production that you make, the quality of content you make, you literally are putting our city on the map for that kind of
I
quality.
don't know about
Oh, I do.
putting it on a map,
I do. I follow every single filmmaker in town, from college students up to you, and you're doing good stuff, man. I'm excited to see where you go from here, and hopefully we both can improve our quality of work. You never stop.
We will.
But Mr. Travis, this comes to the end of our episode, and I definitely want to say thank you for coming on. You've been an inspiration to me personally, making me, answering any question I've ever had, and always been willing to help rather than ignore. I mean, it's very easy for someone in the same market to use, like, why would I tell you my secrets or whatever, but it's even more opening and more kindness to be like, yo, like, listen, this is how I feel, this is what I think. Same thing when I started a lawn business. The lawnmower guy, when I started mowing lawns, could have totally, when I ran into this guy, the biggest lawn mowing person in the city at the time when I was mowing lawns. I mowed your lawn back in the day because I was still mowing lawns back then. Had this trailer, and I was going to go buy it from him because it was a perfect lawn mowing trailer. And I walked up to him, and he goes, you had a lawn business? I was like, yeah. And I know this guy's mowing 200, 300 lawns a week. And I'm like, this is insane. And he's like, I'm like, yeah. And I only got like 20 lawns, I'm mowing weekly. And he's like, oh, I'm going to give you this trailer. was like, you're gonna get some dude off Facebook, or not Facebook. I saw it on Facebook or whatever, and I knew it was him. And I was like, wait, you're gonna just give this to me? He's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? And that was the very first time I heard it. I was like, you mow lawns, bro. Like, I'm in the same feeling. He's like, there's plenty of it all to go around. And I was like, literally inspired me. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's so awesome. And I think that guy to this day is such a cool dude. But
Yeah, that's cool of him.
us lifting each other up and helping each other grow as people, because there's always going to be our own independent businesses and growing and whatever it may be. But there's always going to be those times when we both can maybe all get together at some point in the future and build our own short film, you know, and
Yeah, that'd
things
be
like
cool. Something I've struggled with actually is, I mean, yeah, I've been pretty giving of what I've known and stuff, but in art, I've struggled with the idea of, okay, how much of it should be looked at as a competition and how much is it shouldn't be.
Right.
You know,
It's
because
hard.
I'm coming from a sports kind of background, being competitive.
Oh, no.
Coming into art, I'm like,
Be competitive. We need to outdo each other. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. But I guess the line should be drawn of when you're starting to feel jealous and when you're starting to feel envious.
oh, don't, bro.
And
Literally, I know 3 filmmakers on the top of my head that have all seen your content, and we all unanimously agree that you have the best content.
well,
So what I'm saying,
I'm just talking about in general and being an artist. You
Right.
know, because you shouldn't be afraid to share your secrets. Like
yeah,
that's what what's his name, Walbeck.
yeah.
That's all he does, right? He's
Exactly.
giving all
And
of his
but
secrets.
he's still busy doing his own thing,
But
making
The
tons
thing
of money.
is
You know?
to remember is it raises the bar for everybody, and it raises. That's how the community gets better.
That's how we grow. Exactly.
And there can be a little competition on certain things, but
but
it's important. Even though we're competitors in the market, I mean, we're in the same community, right? So we should.
And at the end of the day, we need to change filmmaking and make a difference in this planet.
Right.
And we can do that. We can do that as friends, not
So
combatant.
speaking of sharing knowledge, one thing I've started on Facebook, I've gotten better about being more consistent. That's something you're way better at than me, is, you know, the social media and being consistent with that. But one thing I started was a favorite frame Friday. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
I've only done it for 2 weeks, but every Friday I take an image from what I've shot. It can be really old or really recent, but I put it up. I steal it from the clip, and I explain in a kind of a layout how I lit it.
Right.
So you should check it out, and
I will.
and
but-
send me things that you've done. and I'll
Exactly. We
post
got to
it.
get more active on social media and help each other out. Definitely. I'll give us some more shows. And I have a couple of things that you've done. I'm like, yo, check out this guy, you know.
Yeah.
You do good stuff, man. I'm excited to see where you go. I know you're already doing amazing, but I can't wait to see the bigger projects, the more work, the bigger things. I can't wait to be a part of that process and help each other grow as filmmakers and as human beings, because we're all imperfect and we need to be the best us we can be in every field that we can. So, Travis Williams, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on to this podcast. I was so excited to have you in the first 5, because I know I look up to you and I just wanted to bring you on this podcast. So thank you so much for taking the time out and coming out and talking about filmmaking and all those other things.
Yeah. Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.